were a playoff team last year. As the 7th seed in, we didn't really expect much from them. But this year, they've come back and they look really good. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from the Eagles. And then a surprise team out of the AFC, the Jaguars, 2-1. I believe this is the first time they've been 500 since the Gardner Minshew 1-0 start. Big victory. And I mean, big victory against the Los Angeles Chargers. I know Chargers fans will counter, hey, we were hurt. We had Herbert hurt. We had Keenan Allen out. Bosa injured his groin. 38-10 is a large number. The Jaguars were not shying away from putting it on them. And they have this great running game right now that they're developing between James Robinson and Travis Etienne. I love the way that Doug Pederson is using those. And he's starting to just build this confidence with Trevor Lawrence that we're seeing. Like the touchdown at the end of Marvin Jones Jr. back into the end zone. That's the Trevor Lawrence that we were looking for. That's the guy that was drafted with the number 1 overall pick. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, it's credit to his development. Doug Pederson, yeah, give it to him. Drafted a pretty good quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Too bad he didn't get to see the fruits of his labor because Nick Sirianni's out there has this team 3-0.
The Philadelphia Eagles and Miami Dolphins are kind of cracking the code on the new model of the NFL, which is, hey, we can get the quarterback cheap, just throw a bunch of weapons and offensive linemen around them and see what they can do. And if not, then we'll pivot and try and upgrade the quarterback position. But man, it's worked out pretty well. Those teams have turned it around. Both have flexibility with draft picks in the future. And I know it's early in the season, but A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are both on pace to record over 1,500 receiving yards this year. And this comes given that Devonta Smith had a big fat 0 in the first game of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he put up a big time game against the terrible Washington racial slurs. And Devonta Smith has been so good for my fantasy team. Just saying. But I mean, both of those receivers have been excellent. Jalen Hurts is like the 4th leading rusher in the NFL this year. It's been an incredible start for the Eagles. And one that, you know, I know a lot of people were picking the Eagles to win the division. And I was one of those people who was pro Cowboys more than them, but they have left no doubt. Philadelphia Eagles are one of the best in the NFC.
Speaking more on Jalen Hurts too and his development. So currently this season he's throwing 67%, which is respectable. That is a good completion percentage considering his career. He's a career 60% completion guy. Mm-hmm. And do you credit that more towards Jalen Hurts taking that next step, or is it that this offense with A.J. Brown, with Devonta Smith, just has guys wide open, not to mention that the offensive line and defensive line are playing at extremely high levels for the Eagles?
I'm going to deflect on your question, unfortunately. I know this is sometimes debate television, but I need a larger sample size to know the answer to that one. Three games is not enough for me to determine whether or not this is a larger statistical improvement for Jalen Hurts or not, given that, you know, after week 3 of last year, we were singing the praises of Sam Darnold in Carolina.
In fairness, Sam Darnold didn't really look that great last year. He just happened to fall into the end zone, I want to say 5 times early on in the season, which we never expected Sam Darnold to turn into a running bully quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Jalen Hurts, this is stuff that you could kind of build on, because if the biggest issue for Hurts was his consistency in finding wide receivers, hitting wide receivers, he's fixed that. He's always had a good deep ball. That's been one of Jalen Hurts' claim to fames. Or maybe you credit Nick Sirianni with this, right? Nick Sirianni, the bumbling coach that no one had faith in last year, last man hired, but he did come from that Frank Reich school of thought. And despite what's going on with the Colts right now, I think Frank Reich is still a talented offensive mind in the game. And I think anyone that's a pupil under Frank Reich can benefit from that tutelage. So I credit Nick Sirianni for putting his quarterback in positions to succeed. And again, I'll counter that with Trevor Lawrence. Last year, I don't think Urban Meyer, I don't think the Jags really put him in positions to succeed. And now you look at what Doug Pederson is doing. I said very early on with the Jags, the best thing that Doug could do is simplify the offense. And I feel this is a very simple offense. They're not doing anything fancy out there. They're running the ball effectively. And when it is time for Trevor Lawrence to make plays, make throws, use his legs, he's able to do that. And I think if you keep doing that correctly, and their defense is starting to show up a little bit, I'm a bit impressed with the Jags defense too. Mm-hmm. You can build a team that maybe not right away, but if we believe Trevor Lawrence is that type of dude, a couple years down the road? You're telling me a championship window can't open in Jacksonville if we believe Trevor Lawrence is Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning type?
They can get not quite to the championship yet. I mean, with the core of the team they have, they're looking like they can win the AFC South the next 2 years because the Texans are still 3 years away. Titans are headed towards a rebuild, and the Colts are the Colts. So, the AFC South is wide open for or I should say the pyramid scheme AFC South is wide open for them to take over.
But that helps. That is to their benefit, because when we talk about what was part of Brady's success, right? It was part of playing in the AFC East, beating up on the Jets, beating up on the Dolphins, beating up on the Bills. If the AFC South turns into trash, hot garbage behind Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, while they're building a sustainable model of success, then we could be looking at the next 3 years belonging to Duval County, and potentially much longer than that, as long as, Shad Khan and them want to stay in Jacksonville. I know I'm bouncing around. I'm bouncing around because I like what I've seen from both these teams so far to this point. So it's kind of like hard because I'm picking between favorite early season childs. As much of a Niners fan as I am, I respect good football and I respect when teams are playing well. And I like to see a new team. I like to see a different playoff mix each and every year. I think these guys are giving us this. I would say the Eagles, should we pump the brakes? Because people are talking about them. Best team in the NFC. Is that crazy to say?
One of the best teams in the NFC. I won't say the best team in the NFC. One of the best teams.
Just not buying in yet, huh?
I've only seen 3 games of it for the Eagles, and I've seen the Packers over 3 years be really good.
But 3 dominant games. That's something you also have to factor in, because the Vikings people were talking about as a team that could have competed this year. Dominated them. Prime time.
Let's pause. Let me pause. I was not saying the Vikings could compete this year. Other people were saying that they could.
Football minds were saying that the Vikings could have made some noise this year. And the Eagles said, nope, we're just going to stomp them. We're going to put our foot on their throats and just step down. That's what they did against the Vikings in week 2 against Carson Wentz. Big game that, going in for Jalen Hurts, played excellent football. Did not let the moment get too big for him. And then week 1, they have another dominant performance. So through 3 weeks, they're just dominating opponents. So it's kind of like what we talked about, like what makes a Super Bowl contender? What are the signs we look for and got teams that can go to the Super Bowl? You beat up on bad teams. Going on the road, Philadelphia, always a tough place to play, a tough environment. I don't know if this moment is necessarily one that I see Trevor Lawrence succeeding in. It's a big game obviously for Doug Pederson too. So I kind of wonder how the Philly fans are going to welcome him as he makes his return to Philadelphia. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think that they're more prepared to win now, but I like the Jags. I like what I'm seeing. I like this future that they're building for themselves.
Yes, the old phrase is good teams win, great teams cover, even though the Eagles did not cover against the Detroit Lions in week 1, but they did score 38 points in like 3 quarters. I will say that for the Jacksonville side, because I haven't talked about them, and I'm staking my claim as the internet's #1 Trevor Lawrence supporter for the time being, is that look what happens when you give Trevor Lawrence stability for the first time since before the pandemic. Like that 2020 season at Clemson was a roller coaster, not just with the pandemic year, but also the fact that Trevor Lawrence got COVID in the middle of it. And then last year you had the Bishop Sycamore coaching staff of the Jacksonville Jaguars put together by the ringleader of chaos, Urban Meyer. And it's just you could throw out every statistic. I said it last year, throw out everything you know about Trevor Lawrence from last year.
You mean I could throw out that 8-week stretch where he had 1 passing touchdown?
Yes, all of it. Throw all of it out. Just get rid of all of it and let him reset with at least a stable coaching staff in Philadelphia. I don't know much about their offensive coordinator, but it's better than Darrell Bevell, because literally anything is better than Darrell Bevell. And Jacksonville's going to be really fun and really good. And obviously they have 2 studs on defense with Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. Probably still the wrong pick, but Trayvon Walker still has looked really good so far. And they're building something nice, but the Eagles are ready made to win right now. So the Philadelphia Eagles will get the win over Jacksonville.
It kills me that I have to give Trent Baalke credit. As a Niners
you don't have to.
I guess I don't have to. I guess I don't have to, but he settled on the right guy the following year with Doug Pederson. That was the right hire to make. Anyway, guys, drop below in the comment section. Do you think that this one is going to go to Doug Pederson and his return to Philadelphia? Or do you think it's going to go to the Eagles? Do you think the Eagles are going to go to 4-0? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social medias at Juju Talk Sports, at Kyle Ledbetter.619. And you follow all that stuff in the YouTube bio. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. And we'll see you on the next one.